Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 751 of NoDQ&A Video, right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A Video's affiliate, RingsideNews.com. Make sure you stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest regarding Fastlane. Got your questions now from Twitter.com/AaronRift. First one today comes from Bad News Macam. Do you think it is insulting fans' intelligence when Brock Lesnar is in the Fastlane main event even though he wasn't on Raw? Well, maybe it's because WWE has to save Lesnar's appearances for the house shows. No, seriously, I really do not feel that Brock needed to be on this edition of Raw because of the fact that The Rock was going to be on Raw and it was the post-Royal Rumble Raw. You were going to have people tuning in, AJ Styles, fans curious about him. It wasn't really necessary to waste a Brock Lesnar appearance on this episode of Raw. You might as well just bring him in when he's actually announced for the match, and then you can do the build-up and have him stand there in the ring looking scary and Paul Heyman doing his usual promo. There's not a whole lot you need to do with Brock Lesnar in terms of appearances, and I'm sure the storyline is going to mainly be about Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns and the possible friction between the two brothers, and teasing that there might be some sort of falling out between them. That's going to be the main storyline, I'm guessing, leading into the Fastlane pay-per-view. And speaking of the Fastlane main event, I got this question here from Ben Vissers. Hey Aaron, so the Fastlane pay-per-view main event is Reigns babyface versus Ambrose babyface versus Lesnar babyface. Am I missing something? No, you're not missing anything. It is what it is. It's three babyfaces going at it at Fastlane, and I guess in the storyline it makes sense because it's the heels, Triple H and Stephanie, putting all the fan favorites against each other to see who will go on to challenge Triple H for the WWE World title at Wrestlemania. And I've gotten a few other questions regarding this match. One person asking me about a possible Dean Ambrose heel turn at this pay-per-view. That would surprise me. I think a Dean Ambrose heel turn, as much as I would like to see it, I would be very surprised if it happens anytime soon. And as far as the other topic, which I've gotten questions about, I think somebody asked me on Facebook about the idea of WWE possibly changing plans at Fastlane and going in a different direction for WrestleMania, where instead of Roman Reigns getting the title shot, Dean Ambrose pulls off the huge upset, and he's the one to be in the main event at WrestleMania against Triple H. You know, one fan comparing it to 2005 when Randy Orton got the big babyface push, and then WWE changed plans and went with Batista instead as the new top babyface to challenge Triple H. Could the same thing happen at Fastlane? I would once again be surprised if that happened. I think it's fairly obvious that Roman Reigns is going to win at Fastlane. You know, the other question was about insulting fans' intelligence. To me, this whole match is ridiculous because I think just about everybody and their mother thinks that Roman Reigns will win at this pay-per-view and go on to face Triple H. That is the clear direction for WrestleMania, and the obvious one at that. Dean Ambrose is the IC champion, and Brock Lesnar will probably have a very strong showing, and then once again, Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family will interfere and cost them. You know, the usual stuff in WWE. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it to be predictable and just straightforward, no swerves or anything. But never say never. I would just be very surprised if anything unexpected happened at Fastlane. And I got this one from I Am Mr. R. Hey Aaron, please answer in video. If they made Divas Tag Team titles, they could use it more on SmackDown, and the IC belt can be used more on Raw. Also, comments on AJ versus Y2J. I already discussed AJ and Y2J in the previous video, episode number 750, so make sure you check that out. Regarding the idea of a Divas Tag Team Championship, I actually like that. I think that that's an interesting concept, especially if you want to continue building up the Divas Revolution and putting more of an emphasis on the Divas. And let's face it, there's a lot of divas that are barely getting TV time right now. They have a fairly large roster of women, and they got women in NXT like Bayley that are going to be coming up pretty soon. And already you have some divas that are currently getting lost in the shuffle. People like Natalya. And I think by doing a Divas Tag Team Championship, you can give more TV time and more purpose for some of the divas that aren't involved in the Divas Championship storyline. Alright, this one comes from Paul Samuels. Should Enzo and Cass win the tag titles immediately upon call-up? Please answer in video. This is probably not going to be the most popular answer, but I would have to say no, because my fear is that it would be a repeat of Fandango where they would debut, and let's face it, if they debuted the night after WrestleMania, they're going to get a huge reaction and you're going to have everyone doing the catchphrases and all that. But my fear is that it would fade very quickly and the casual fans would not react to the act, and before you know it, these guys would just be tag team champions and then they would just fade into obscurity. I think it would be better to have them debut first and see how well the act catches on with your casual audience before you go as far as to make them tag team champions. That's just my opinion on it, because just because something really gets over in NXT, it's not always a guarantee that it's going to translate to the casual mainstream audience. And I got this question here from KOSC Franz. Why didn't WWE run big stadiums during 1998-2000 when the company was red hot? Please answer in video. WWE actually did do a few episodes of Raw in stadiums. There was one time they did it in Toronto, and then another time, actually a couple of times, they did it in the Georgia Dome. My guess is that even though they were able to draw 30,000, 35,000 people, that's still 30,000 plus empty seats in the building, and they would have to set up the arena for a smaller crowd and only use half of the arena for the event. And I guess the idea is that it's better to have a show in a smaller arena that's jam-packed rather than have a show in a giant stadium that's half empty. Perhaps that's just the reason. I'm not really sure exactly why they didn't try doing WrestleMania, say, in 1999 in a big stadium. You know, they just hadn't really gotten to that point yet where they were starting to make WrestleMania this yearly stadium show. And, you know, it is about the brand, too. You know, WWE was rebuilding the brand during those years, 97, 98. And, you know, finally by 2001, they got to running the big shows in stadiums again. And you have to keep in mind that it's difficult. Even today, even back then, 2001, it really takes a lot to get 60, 70,000 people in a building. And it's a difficult task, and it's very impressive anytime you can get that many people in the building. But it's really about having the strong brand name like WrestleMania. And, you know, even during the Attitude Era, they could not get more than 30, 35,000 people in buildings like the Georgia Dome. All right, this one comes from Everett Wright. With the way WWE has been running lately and the rise of NXT, which current WWE veteran would have been better off debuting now? That is a tough question to ask. I mean, I could say somebody like Dolph Ziggler, just because right now it feels like he's burned out and he's frustrated with his position in the company. But with that being said, Dolph Ziggler had a pretty good run. He was the World Heavyweight Champion, even though it was a short reign. He was a two-time champion, if you want to remember that first time, with Vicky awarding him the championship or whatever. You know, he's not in WWE currently, but perhaps Evan Bourne would have done better if he'd come into WWE now. It's really hard to say. I mean, you look at some of the guys now, maybe Cody Rhodes is a guy who would have done better coming in now rather than 2008. The guys that could really work well in the ring and would have the opportunity to work in a place like NXT, it's just a hard question for me to answer. I'm not really sure. You know, I'm not a big fan of the what-if questions because it's really hard to say. All right, this one comes from Grant Hudson. What are your thoughts on Jeff Hardy re-signing with TNA, and now when do you think he'll come back to WWE? Please answer in video. It makes sense for Jeff Hardy to stay with TNA right now. His brother Matt is currently the TNA World Champion, and I do not see Matt Hardy going anywhere for a while. And I've talked about this before. I think the Hardy Boys would be their strongest in WWE again as a tag team. I think that if they come back to WWE, and it's probably a when, not an if, WWE is going to want to bring them in together as a tag team, just like they did with the Dudley Boys. So for the time being, it made sense for Jeff Hardy to stick with TNA, with his brother being the world champion and all. Now, maybe a year from now, I mean, I'm guessing he did not sign a long-term contract, because who knows how long TNA is going to be on Pop TV. So it was probably a one-year contract. I could be wrong on that, but my feeling is that it was a one-year contract. Wouldn't make sense to do longer than that, with TNA's status, you know, always being up in the air. But perhaps next year, WrestleMania 33, if the Hardy Boys leave TNA at the same time, that could open the door to a possible comeback in WWE. It's a matter of timing, I think. Just the right time for the Hardys to make the jump back to WWE. Alright, this one comes from Ty Marshall. Why did WWE forget about the Goldust vs. Stardust feud, besides their father Dusty passing away? For two reasons. The first was that when they had the match at Fastlane last year, the fans in the arena did not care. They did not react to the match, which was a disappointment. I felt that that feud could have been so much more. They should have saved it for WrestleMania. That would have been a special match to have at the biggest show of the year, brother versus brother. But they rushed it. They did the match at Fastlane, and when the fans did not react to it, they gave up on the storyline. And I think the other reason was also Goldust getting injured and him being sidelined, so they just decided to drop the storyline. Unfortunately, things did not work out as well as they could have. You know, that feud could have been something special at WrestleMania, but, you know, just wasn't meant to be. Alright, this one comes from Sethi Mack. What are your thoughts on the Stardust character possibly coming to an end? Not a moment too soon. I was a fan of the Stardust gimmick when they were a tag team, Goldust and Stardust, and then when they did the feud, I was still enjoying the Stardust character. But once that feud was over and Cody was on his own, there was really no need to continue the Stardust character. And he decided for personal reasons to keep it going after the death of Dusty. And, you know, that's his decision. But to me, the character really serves no purpose and hasn't served any purpose in a long time. And it's just very stale. And to me, the sooner it ends, the better. But at this point, even if he went back to being Cody, I'm guessing he'll still get lost in the shuffle either way. So if he enjoys playing Stardust, then let him stay as Stardust. I mean, I really don't care at this point. I feel that he's going to be in the same position regardless of whether he's Cody Rhodes or Stardust. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Make sure you check out episode number 750 as well as my review video of the WWE Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Subscribe if you haven't already at youtube.com/NoDQ&AV. Like this video, share it with a friend on Facebook and Twitter. Send your questions to twitter.com/AaronRift, and I will see you guys next time.